It's so good to have you in our class today. And we have come to the third segment of our lessons, which is Nigeria and the international community. Amazing topic we have there. And in this lesson, we shall be looking at Nigeria and her relations with African countries. And you are expected at the end of this lesson to evaluate the role of Nigeria in continental affairs. You should also assess the role of NEPAD, NEPAD as an acronym, in developing Africa. And we shall begin with Africa as the centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy. Wow. And so we have dealt with foreign policy, and so it's no longer news that Africa is the centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy. So what is this concept of Africa being the centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy? This origin, or this concept, can be traced back to the administration of the First Republic, which was headed by the Prime Minister, who is Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. I'm sure you would not forget him in a hurry. And of course, in his projections, he maintained that we belong to Africa. It's a statement that you may want to write. He maintained that we belong to Africa, and as such, Nigeria would pursue realistic African policies. Africa should be given a pride of place in Nigeria's foreign policies. That was the advocacy of Tafawa. Guiding principles, they do not change, so you may also want to write. And to other African states and fostering understanding among them. Again, the second one is the belief in the sovereignty and equality of African states. These are working tools that cannot be changed. I'll take it all over again. First is developing programs for possible assistance to other African states and fostering understanding amongst them. 2. The belief in the sovereignty and equality of African states. 3. Working towards the decolonization of the African continent still under the colonial rule. 4. Respect and non-interference in the domestic affairs of other African states. 5. To support as a then the struggle against apartheid policy and its eradication in South Africa. 6. To oppose aggression, support the demand for restoration of fundamental rights in Africa and the world in general. And the last of these guiding principles is promoting friendly associations among independent African states. And so how were these guiding principles implemented? What were the effects? How do we know that these policies actually were effected? One is anti-racism and anti-colonialism. Nigeria stood for anti-racism at all times. They never supported colonialism and marginalization of any African state. And so they helped and they pushed for the decolonization of all of the African states which were still in bondage. Again, it advocated for unity and solidarity. And of course, if any country, African country, has an issue, you are sure that Nigeria is going to stand up for them and help them out of their crisis. Congo, for instance. Again, friendly relations. They maintain friendly relations amongst African states. Promotion of peace, assistance to sister African states, severing relationship. Any country that still projects colonialism, Nigeria is so going to sever its relationship with that country. And of course, Nigeria helped to resolve conflicts. In Congo, the crises were so much and Nigeria had to step in and help to ameliorate the issues they had. And of course, diplomatic missions, encouragement of democracy, support for OAU, that's the Organization of African Union, which is now the African Union, and of course, sports and other activities. We have common ground, sports-like ground like the African Nations Cup that brings all the African countries together. We also have a lot of economic cooperations, and the value of speaking with one voice. And so Nigeria brings all the sister African countries together to support a national issue, especially if it has to do with anti-colonialism. That's about that. And of course, we have reasons for the adoption of Nigeria as the centerpiece of African policies. And one is the size and the population. We have a lot of human resource, and of course the population is large enough to accommodate the policies. Ideological rivalries, and you agree with me that that's another factor. Of course, inter-territorial communication. Nigeria has access to all of the African nations, and of course helps and encourages inter-territorial communication. It also projects and preaches decolonization of African states. The location, Nigeria is located at the heart of Africa, and so that makes for all her policies to be African-based. And of course, they grant assistance like funds and military empowerment to African states that do not have enough or sufficient of these materials. And also friendly associations, they are very aggressive to states or countries who are open to aggression, and so that's another factor. All of these things pushed for Nigeria to be the heartpiece, to be the centerpiece of African policies. Now, there is another concept that you would want to know, and that is the NEPAD. I had mentioned it, and NEPAD is an acronym that means New Partnership for Africa's Development. How did NEPAD come into existence? It came into being upon the joining together of the Millennium Partnership for the African Recovery Program, that's MAP, and of course the Omega Plan at the request of the OAU. It was a request made by the Organization of African Union, which is now the African Unity, which helped to launch this Millennium Partnership. And it was once known as the New African Initiative, which came into existence in October 2001 out of the several plans and discussions which had lingered and lasted so many years between South Africa's president, Nigeria's president, and the Algerian president at that time. Now, NEPAD has its commitments which also cannot be changed. They are static, and you would want to write them down too. One is NEPAD is committed to peace, security, and good governance. These are their guiding principles. The second one is to uphold democracy and human rights. The third one, it is committed to the actualization of prudent economic management and sustainable development. The fourth one is it reduces conflicts and have greater access to the world market. And the last one is the fight in its entirety against corruption, which had taken the center stage of the continent's political soul, impacting negatively on development efforts. But then this NEPAD as an organization had problems, and I would like to share with you. One is high level of embezzlement, and so the people in authorities siphoned funds and resources which were meant for development and infrastructural growth. And of course, there is usually political instability. Favoritism also in appointments could also be another problem, where people do not appoint others by merit but based on favoritism and association. Political victimization is another factor, and the negative attitude of the workers towards their job is so alarming. There's usually a frequent government interference. All of these things were factors that engendered problems in the NEPAD. And this is where we draw the curtains for our lesson today. I'm sure you've learned a great deal. So look out for all of our videos and do have an amazing time.